Hansen, welcome to the Outperform podcast. How are you today?
I'm good. How you doing, Scott?
I'm doing well, thanks. But thanks a lot for being here. And the first question that I always like to ask guests is, how would you define outperforming, and what does it mean to you to outperform the norm?
Outperforming to me is basically just going the extra mile, trying to go above and beyond, excel, and just don't just settle for the status quo.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So before I have you expand on some of that and exactly how that's played out in your life, why don't you just tell the audience a little bit more about who you are and what it is that you do?
Okay. Well, currently I work for a plastic thermoforming company. Company's PN Products, and I'm the general manager. So we're a small company, so I wear a lot of hats. I do a lot of daily activities and kind of take a little bit more on from time to time. Most recently, I've expanded into a sales role where, and quite honestly, that's out of my comfort zone. I'm trying to kind of gauge that right now on how to proceed with that. But it's going well, and it's exciting trying to figure out the ropes when it comes to the sales aspect. But I found my way to PN Products through basically schooling. I started my career at the Ford Motor Company in my early 20s, and so I kind of landed into that and anticipated that I was going to be there for 30 plus years. And the plant shut down in St. Paul there, and they gave us an opportunity to go back to school and try to retrain ourselves. And I took the opportunity, and that's kind of where my outperforming, I feel, began, because I took the difficulty of losing pretty much what it was an ideal career, a really good spot, good insurance, good pay, what I thought was something that I was going to be able to do for the rest of my life, and then retire from that. But after 12 years, I got the opportunity to go back to school, and then and I took that. So that I kind of promised myself and my family that I was not going to let it get me down, and I was going to try to put myself in a better spot after it was all done.
Interesting. So that was going to be my next question, is to kind of expand upon your outperforming story. And I mean, I'm not sure if it is just going back to the Ford Motor Plant and what happened there, but can you take me back to, so how long ago was that you lost your position there and it was shut down?
It was 2011 was when it finally shut down.
Okay. And
Yep.
was that just completely out of left field that it just shut down? I mean, were you blindsided by it, or did you kind of see it coming and then it happened?
Kind of goes both ways, because initially when I mean, there was always rumors floating around, but the rumors kind of took 2-3 years to come to fruition. But eventually we were told, and I mean, several years before that, and they offered us an opportunity to take a buyout and then either walk away or go back as basically start from scratch until they decided to officially close it. So we were told in like 07, 08, and then, I kind of started taking some classes there. But then, finally in 2011, we were given some vision as far as when we could expect for it to close. So.
Okay. And one of the purposes of this podcast is to help to empower people, and specifically to help them be able to, I think, positively respond to adversity, which is, we all go through different trials and tribulations in our lives. So if you could go back to that time, what were you thinking at that time when that originally happened, and how did you get through it? Was there like a period where you were kind of doing the pity party, for lack of a better term, and it took you a little bit to be able to pick yourself up? Or what was kind of your mentality when that happened, and how did you get past it?
Well, oddly enough, I feel like that was a defining moment in my life, because before that, I did kind of settle for the status quo. I did kind of just do enough to get by. And when that happened, I don't know, it just made me motivated to be better. I took it as an opportunity to, okay, well, you know what? I'm not going to let it get me down. I was just in a really motivated space. I didn't really play that pity party. even though I think the only fear was, where will I end up? After the schooling, if I do this, if I apply myself, where will I end up? Will I find a position that I'm going to be comfortable with, that will put me in a better place? That was kind of like the only concern that I had. But in the meantime, I was going to make sure that I put forth my best effort, and put me in a good position to be able to do that. So.
Okay. So maybe it was kind of a wake-up call as kind of a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think I saw, or I actually see, what is that, a cat in the background? Just for anybody that's watching this on YouTube. I didn't realize that this is actually a three-way podcast, but
right, yeah. And I asked him to stay out of the room for a while, but he's not.
They kind of go where they want to go. I know what
Absolutely.
It's like.
Yeah. Fortunately, he's not on my lap.
So to continue to expand upon your story, so after that time, what did you go back to school for, and how did that kind of evolve into where you are now? Because you're obviously thriving and doing great things.
Yeah. I mean, it took a while for me to even find out what I was going to be interested in. I mean, when I was in high school, I did just enough to get through, just enough to graduate on time. I did a little bit of schooling, but I did not succeed. I found out a short time period into it that I didn't want to do that. So I didn't do school straight out of high school. And so, when I went back, I didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do. So I did interest inventories, kind of started taking some generals, and then came across CAD programming and designing. So I really enjoyed that, started into that program. And then we had like a seminar where somebody from another university came in and offered us a program where we could expand on our associate's degree and get into an operations management degree at a different school. And fortunately for me, all of those credits were going to transfer. And I just, because I put myself in such a good position when they first told us about closing and started my classes, I was kind of ahead of the game, because when Ford officially closed, we were given an opportunity to go through a TRA, which is like a trade where you end up going to school. They paid for schooling and helped us kind of try to make that adjustment. So I was ahead of the game. They were basically going to award us 2 years for that. And so I was able to still parlay that into the bachelor's degree for operations management. So a little bit of luck and a little bit because I started outperforming and took the opportunity and jumped on it early on.
Sure. So to dig into kind of the psychology of this a little bit, because I mean, I sometimes will just call it gaining emotional leverage on something, but I think if we talk about outperforming the norm, we can very easily say that the norm is the status quo and just performing to that for any of us in our personal, professional, athletic lives. So what is the why behind why you are outperforming now? And I'm always interested in just the shift of how does someone go from kind of being the norm or status quo for a while to now all of a sudden you wake up every day driven and kind of getting after it. What do you have a specific why, or what is underneath that?
Well, I mean, the why for me is just my family, my kids. And I think that the conversion at the time that I was losing my job at Ford, I was kind of developing into the family life, and so they're kind of like my driving factor. And as I mentioned before, that wake up call of losing the job at Ford has just kind of converted my mind frame. And I feel very blessed that I feel kind of lucky that I did end up getting that wake up call, because I look back at a younger me and I go, I didn't have that motivation. I didn't have that drive. I mean, if I didn't want to work full time, even at Ford, I was trying to take days off left and right. I was just getting by. And now I'm in an opportunity too, where, when I apply myself more, then I reap the benefits and I see progression. Whereas on the assembly line, you just go there and you do the same thing day after day after day. So it wasn't really a scenario where I could outperform, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Sure. So along those lines, if you had to go back and give the 20-year-old Justin some piece of advice, what would you tell him?
Well, it'd be a pretty long conversation, but I mean, I think one of the things I tell them is that don't be surprised if you succeed in anything, because I when good things would happen to me, and I still kind of struggle with that to this day. When I would succeed, I kind of I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. I'm kind of like, well, this is kind of too good to be true, and it's just all luck. But I've kind of learned throughout the last 15, 20 years that when you do work hard and you do succeed in something, it's not luck. You earned it, and to be proud of it instead of just looking around the corner waiting for it to fall apart.
Mm-hmm. And you're based out of Minnesota, right?
Yep.
Okay. I'm a native Minnesotan, born and raised. So I sometimes just joke about it that, the kind of the Minnesota nice or the Minnesota polite. I feel like a lot of times we almost suppress our own confidence and our own willingness to actually celebrate our successes because we're so fearful of coming across as arrogant or, how is this going to look, that we actually don't take credit when credit is due. Like it wasn't luck. I showed up and I worked hard and I got this done because it was because of me. So
absolutely. Yeah. I got a lot of that going on for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we all have. So if you were to just take one word and what is the one word that describes you? If one word defines you, what is that?
I think resilient. I think, that's a good word because, like the story, I was kind of had something good going and lost that, and without knowing what the future was going to hold, I bounced back and I didn't let it get me down, and I feel like I'm still resilient to this day.
Mm-hmm. And I'm always curious about people's routines as well. So obviously to be a general manager and now going into sales, you need to be able to, you can't be a flash in the pan showing up every now and then consistently day in and day out. You have to be performing at a high level. So do you have any daily routines or rituals that you kind of swear by that help drive your outperforming on a daily basis?
I definitely have routines. I didn't maybe I didn't really realize that that's partaking in me outperforming, but it very well may be because I do the same things every day. But it's about a 40-minute commute for me to get to work, and during that time, I just kind of kick back and I listen to podcasts or comedy shows, and it's always comedy based.
Okay.
So it really puts me in a good place, and I'm by the time I get to work, I'm either laughing or just in a happy spot. So that's kind of one thing. And then in the evening, I hit the gym pretty much every day, at least 5-6 days a week.
Oh, okay. Good. Yeah. Do you have any specific podcasts or audiobooks that you would like to share with the audience?
Well, I do listen to the Joe Rogan podcast pretty religiously. That's a big one, and I'm sure a lot of people know what that is. But I mean, he runs the gamut. It's funny throughout, but then he talks about theories. He talks about finance. He hits a lot of subjects, and he always has really interesting guests.
Sure. And is the specific reason you do that just to make sure that when you show up and when you walk through the PN doors that you're in the right frame of mind to be able to do that?
Yeah, definitely. I think by the time I get there, I'm just in a really upbeat spot, and I think that's part of it for me is I want to be happy, and that helps my motivation. Is just be happy and be excited.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Do you have any favorite quotes or any favorite sayings that you try to live by?
I haven't really throughout my life or anything, but reading your books got a couple come to mind. The attitude of gratitude, that was kind of a big one for me. It really resonates with me because everybody says during life it just goes by so fast, and nobody really takes the time to just appreciate the here and now, and that one really does. Whenever I think about it, it does help me to kind of keep things in perspective and just look around and say I appreciate everything I have now.
Yeah, it's so much easier said than done. I
Yeah,
sometimes say what's common sense is not always common practice. Like just be grateful for the things that you have and have gratitude for that. But
yeah, it seems so simple. But then whenever I do think about it, I'll be like, wow, you know what? I haven't really been keeping that in perspective for like the last 2 weeks. Just things are flying by, or you're looking forward to the next thing that, the next big thing or a big event, and instead of just enjoying a Tuesday that you come home and you get to spend time with the family. So those,
sure.
those sort of things, I just really I like to reflect and make sure I just soak the moment in.
Yeah. And I totally get it. I haven't actually heard that many people say that they listen to comedy on the way to the office, but I think whether it's just a comedy podcast or an audio book or whatever it happens to be, to just do something in what I would call the vital 4%, or, kind of the first hour of your day or so, where you're going to be showing up happy with gratitude, and you're just going to be in the right frame of mind when you walk in the doors, I think is an incredibly powerful thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you start the day invigorated, and then you can be productive right out the gate.
Yeah, for sure. So as we kind of wrap this up, is there anything that you wish I would have asked you that I didn't?
I really, I mean, maybe what I find difficult in my approach to outperforming.
Okay. So
I,
tell me a little bit about that. What do you find difficult about it?
I touched on it early on in the conversation, and how now I'm transitioning into a sales role at my position along with my other daily activities, and it's not something that I have a lot of experience with.
Mm-hmm.
I'm taking the approach to be to have the motivation to succeed, but I don't have the history to know, okay, what is the right way to do this? What is the daily routine that I should have? I don't know if what I'm doing is going to help me succeed. If I mean, it's going to, from everybody that I've talked to in a sales role, it's just kind of like it's going to take time, grow thick skin. You're going to hear a lot of no's and that sort of thing. And which I'm hearing no's, I'm getting a difficult time trying to get into the door of some places. But still, I don't know yet if the processes that I'm applying are the right ones. So while I'm still trying to outperform, I'm still trying to do the things necessary to succeed. I'm not sure if I'm doing the right things. So it's a challenge for me from time to time.
It's hard to know doing the right things or doing the things right. It's always kind of a balance of that in a lot of different areas in our life. So I think for anybody out there trying to learn a new skill, I mean, are there certain things that you find yourself doing now where you're just trying to incrementally improve on something that you haven't really done before? I mean, are there like specific examples of what that would look like?
What I'm trying to do now is force myself to put in the sales time, because I do have a lot of other daily activities, and that's probably only 25% of what I do. And a lot of times I'm at the office, I'm putting out fires, I'm trying to coordinate things with people coming into the office, and those sort of things. I do purchasing and estimating and all this other stuff. So for sales, it's more like when I have the extra time, then I go and do follow-ups or I do sales calls. And that's just kind of like, it's not really the thing that I have to respond to at the moment. So I have to kind of etch out some time to do those things. So I'm really trying to put myself in a position where I can do that.
And when we talk about sales activity, are you referring to proactive outbound activity to generate new sales?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And I mean, I sometimes joke that we're all in sales, whether your title says,
Sure.
I'm a sales manager or whatnot, we're all selling something directly or indirectly. And a huge part of it is being able to get through and withstand being told no a lot more than you're going to be told yes. Do you have any specific things that you say to yourself when you are told no, or when you have something that you think is going to pan out and then all of a sudden the rug kind of gets pulled out from underneath you and you end up not landing a deal or not landing a sale?
I don't really have anything in particular other than just not letting it get to me. Unfortunately, I've had a lot of mentors, a lot of people that I've spoken to in the sales role since I've been at PN that have given me kind of what good expectations. And so if I hadn't had that, then I think that it would be a lot more difficult, thinking what am I doing wrong? Why isn't it working out? I would, but to hear that everybody's had these problems, even the most professional salesman out there, it kind of gave me a good perspective going into it. So right now I'm just kind of like, it rolls off my back. It's not that big a deal. And I'm kind of getting into the point now where I've been doing it long enough that I see stuff that I've been working towards for months, and then it eventually pans out. So I just have to know that I need the patience, and it's not really getting to me as of yet. Yeah.
It's definitely a game of patience. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So if anyone in the audience would like to learn a little bit more about you or potentially get in touch with you, is there anywhere where they can find you?
Well, just PN Products. Yeah, that's the website is simple enough. It's just pnproducts.com, and my email there is justin@pnproducts.com. So really simple.
Okay. Justin@pnproducts.com. All right, Justin, any parting shots or words of wisdom that you would like to leave with the audience?
No, I just wanted to thank you. I've seen a couple seminars with you, and been reading your book, and it really does help give me some motivation, and it gives me perspective on a lot of different aspects. So it's helping me in my goal to continue to outperform.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to be on here, and thanks a lot for sharing your wisdom with the audience and all of what you've been through. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. No problem.
All right. And to everyone out there, all the best of health, happiness, and high performance, and keep outperforming. Have a great day.